look like the sound's working?
I think the sound's working. We're here. We're
Incredible.
live. We're joined tonight with our friend Brad. We're going to talk about orcs.
Can't wait.
I
It's
can't.
incredible.
Favorite thing, at least my favorite thing when it comes to Warhammer and Warhammer Fantasy.
Not Space Marines?
No.
Never.
But what
It's
if
kind of funny that
they're-
when we started playing, like, since the 40k box game second edition, like, had orcs in it, like, we started playing orcs because we had them, and they weren't cool then.
they were still the Paul Bonner look?
Yeah, they weren't cool looking then. But times changed.
Times
did.
changed, and we got GorkaMorka, and orcs became cool.
I think it was an old issue, but I remember looking at them in like 7th or 8th grade. You guys used to bring them to like school. I remember looking at that one. I think I know which issue you're talking about. And I remember
I guess at that time, like, White Dwarf was the way to see the new cool things. Like, so pretty different. I mean, like,
Yeah, because I feel this one
spoiled on the internet.
Yeah, because this was even like they were previews of the upcoming stuff. It wasn't even that they were released yet, I don't think, which is interesting.
This was just a preview of the orcs are coming, and like, holy shit, they're cool looking.
How can that even be?
And then they kept that boy sprue for 25 years. I mean, they redesigned it, but
like they redesigned it in a sort of pathetic way that just added some trash.
They got rid of the shooters being you had to like snip them originally.
Oh, so that actually isn't a terrible addition, I suppose.
And then they just made them. Well, you used to be able to just have like shooters lying around and stuff, and then.
Well, it would have been nice if they kept some of that.
Yeah, they didn't though.
No. That's gone.
But they added special weapons.
And
special.
The special weapons really weren't that awful, but it was pretty bad how they tried to like add pieces to make your knob for the unit, and it's just like not a knob.
Slightly larger torso, and that was it.
Yeah,
that's pathetic. What it was.
Orcs. I mean, Games Workshop has a long storied history with orcs. A large portion of them are bad looking.
Yeah.
Even after they got a good redesign.
Yeah, it's true. The ups and downs of orcs.
We're still struggling with it.
Yeah.
It's a constant struggle. It might even be, like, they struggle even more than the Tyranids. And the Tyranids, they had some struggles. Like, some serious struggles.
That is true.
The Tau have struggled with never being cool.
Well.
Yeah, there's poor Tau. Well, now they're getting that new animated series, the Exile or the Exodite or something. That'll make them cool.
I think that's just what we needed to get into the Tau. I think I heard Eric talking the other day about starting up a small kill team at Tau.
The boxes are coming in the mail.
I mean, I believe you. I believe it's happening.
I mean, the only way you do anything like that is if you made a kill team with the Krut. And
then I do like the Krut.
Then you'd have to do a lot of conversion work because they don't have a lot.
Why do we like the Krut? Because Brian fucking Nelson made them.
They're green aliens. Yeah. Apparently, I like green aliens.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
But
God, I wish I could get that Games Day model. God.
What Games Day model?
The Krut.
The Krut leader guy.
Little shaper dude. He was cool.
Wish I had him.
Well, you
Just
could
never-
convert him.
It wouldn't be the same.
It wouldn't
Man,
be
you
the
really
same.
failed in life.
I'm such a failure. I give up. I do. Greg did get me, or maybe it wasn't. I know Greg got me the Prospector, the GorkaMorka Prospector, and that was pretty awesome. That was
He's
pretty
cool.
awesome.
Yeah,
maybe
good.
all of you, I don't know. Somebody gave me the Game Stay knob,
He's
which was
good.
also pretty cool.
Yeah, I
Mhm,
love
he's
him
good.
too.
Just pretty proud to have him in my collection.
I should paint the new one we got.
You should.
Well, I'd like to buy the scrap Prospector again.
Get him again.
Get him again.
We have him somewhere, right? He's probably not even painted.
Even if he was, it'd be better if he wasn't. With the skills we possessed back in 1997 is probably
the
better.
GorkaMorka days, it was rough.
If he's painted, it's just a tutorial on how to strip paint. That's all. That's all it is to it.
Break
Yeah,
out the
that's
simple
true.
green.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
God. Mm-hmm.
That is the truth.
Do we want to jump into this?
Jump right in.
Yeah, we might as well do
Are
it.
you ready?
Let's do it.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna hit record now.
All right.
Have you hit record? Say recording or something.
Recording.
Here we go. Welcome to Dragged into Turbolasers, a Between the Bolter and Me podcast. This is Greg Wire, who's not normally your host, and I'm joined with my brothers Eric
Hey, everybody.
and Adam Wire.
Hey.
And even better, we're joined with our long-standing friend and orc fanatic, Brad Smith.
Hello.
Hey, Brad.
Hey.
Well, I'm excited to be here, everyone, because we're talking about orcs, the army that I started out playing when we were like 12 years old, when we got the second Warhammer 40,000. And back then, orcs weren't even cool.
They were not.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like, yeah, orcs, the only army that matters, but still struggle to be relevant.
I feel, well, the whole orc range is kind of one of struggling. Over the years, they have changed an awful lot. Like the models from like the Rogue Trader days up and through like second edition GorkaMorka, all of that, they all kind of have their own unique look to them. And I don't think any of them were really very cool until GorkaMorka. But even in GorkaMorka, the majority of those orcs still weren't cool. It was largely only the orcs and Gretchens that Gretchen Brian Nelson made that I think really sold me on what I thought orcs should look like, or at least a glimpse of like, yeah, they're cool, they're fierce, like, yeah.
Yeah, I feel it was an interesting thing how he did such a good job of defining sort of this savagery and interesting look to the orcs, and even with the GorkaMorka knobs he created and such, like all of their faces look fairly different. Like, so they show some personality there. It's not just like, let's say, Space Marine plastic heads that are all identical. Some are yelling, some are squinting, whatnot, but they're kind of, at least for the longest time, are all the same. A lot of these orc heads are actually pretty interesting, and then even sort of the physiology of them kind of changed, and that sort of heralded in a pretty good time for orcs, in that Brian Nelson pretty much designed all of them and gave kind of a new, cooler, savage look to the orcs. But it's an interesting thing because I feel his formula for creating them was sort of hard to pin down, because in the years after his creations, other people have tried to emulate that and often don't succeed. And
Well, Brad,
Yeah.
what do you like about the orcs? When did you start liking the orcs?
Well, I mean, I never played second edition. I never really played GorkaMorka when it came out. So really, I guess it was those third edition when they got that new release with like the new boys. I remember the metal war boss. I remember like him being like really cool. And then like the Storm Boys when they came out and like stuff like that. It's like I never like it's hard to would I have started orcs if I saw second edition? Like probably not.
Yeah, I mean, and the funny thing
Yeah.
about that is the three of us started orcs mainly just because when we bought the second edition 40K boxed game, there were two armies. There were the Space Marines and there were the orcs. And the orcs just had 40 identical plastic Gretchen and 20 identical plastic orcs. And they were the wonky kind of Paul Bonner-esque looking orcs that like none of that stuff was particularly cool.
Well, I mean, the Space Marine models were bad looking too. So, like, no model in that box was good.
So one thing that
I
I
still
saw,
feel the design of the Space Marines was largely the same.
Yeah.
well, so one thing that I think was interesting, like before, like the GorkaMorka, Brian Nelson knobs and stuff, I don't think I ever really associated orcs with like big, tough, strong. Like that wasn't really them. They were more like weird, semi-humanoid things that had crazy, wacky bullshit.
That
Yeah, I wonder
is
if
kind
the
of true.
background, I don't remember what the background was. Were they as much like the savage race that just loved combat so much
I
so
feel
that
they
they
were. They
fight
probably
one another
were.
even if they didn't have other opponents to fight? Was that still there? Because yeah, as you said, I feel like second edition orcs were kind of wonky looking and more comical. And I
Mhm.
certainly didn't get the notion of these were tough and strong and
Yeah.
fierce.
Well, I guess maybe even to set the stage here a little bit, the reason we're even talking about this is because over the weekend, Games Workshop just revealed did sort of an unboxing of, I guess this is now the third edition of Age of Sigmar, and revealed some new orc models that are a vast departure from what the orcs have been for the last like 20 years. And this kind of got us to want to reflect a little bit about what we like about orcs, maybe what we don't, and what we think about these new particular models. But sort of with that, we can probably keep up this conversation about what we actually think are cool about orcs. And I feel we could touch a little bit on sort of the origins of a lot of them, which ultimately I don't think are that cool. But a lot of the second edition orc designs looked pretty reminiscent of the artwork of Paul Bonner, and maybe he is even responsible for that design completely. He probably is, and what a lot of the designs are based on. And Adam, you kind of mentioned it, but they sort of look like wonky humanoid things with really big flat faces with like a square flat jaw, and then a really big like lips and just really flat looking face that's kind of, I don't know, nondescript or distinct. Then they tend to have really fiddly thin arms and not much of
Big
a
feet
body,
too. But
which
all the
I don't
models
know.
back then had big feet.
It fit a lot with just, I don't know, the rogue trader sculpts and whatnot, that they weren't particularly impressive in a technical status. But I guess what Paul Bonner's designs did have was there was kind of a lot of character and charm in many of the illustrations, with like weird little funny elements, grots in the background doing weird stuff. And I think that kind of gave the army a charm that wasn't really associated with the Imperial Guard and such. And I think because of that, there was still a lot of people still liked them.
But that's not the orcs that I like.
No. Because Greg, you mentioned like the first orcs we had ever gotten were for the second edition, and they are this Paul Bonner style that's maybe a little bit more vicious looking, but it's still kind of that flat face, really stocky, and basically looks like a square with thin arms, and not that cool. But we got the models, and it kind of forced us to, like, since we had no money at the time, if we wanted to play something, like, we might as well use these. And yeah, I don't like him much.
But shortly after starting, like, buying the Warhammer 40,000 second edition game, GorkaMorka came out, and that was like, oh wow, like, look at some of these orcs, they're a lot cooler. And mainly Brian Nelson designed the knobs for GorkaMorka. He designed the Gretchen and made the Gretchen a lot cooler.
I assume he did the biker too. Like,
yes, he
I
did.
think he did the bike rider.
He
Quite
did the
the
torso of it, and maybe one or both of the
Right,
arms, not the
right.
legs, I don't
The
think.
Death
Yeah.
Copter, he did that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, at GorkaMorka, they also released the plastic sprues of, like, the normal orc warriors, and so they were a pretty big departure from, like, the second edition orcs. They were a little more humanoid. They certainly were more muscular, but their faces were not. They were kind of all over the place and still were more comical. And they, in many regards, didn't look anything like the orcs that Brian Nelson made for GorkaMorka. Like, the
And they didn't look
knobs.
really like the Paul Bonner ones. But I think most of the artwork in the GorkaMorka book, the orcs verged a little bit more on the Brian Nelson physiognomy and
Savagery and stuff.
physique and such. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But so I think that, yeah, Nelson's orcs in GorkaMorka, that was the gateway for Nelson to make the orcs cool.
I mean, I guess he did a few for Warhammer Fantasy Battle, maybe even before that. Like, there was a war boss on a boar and a pretty good looking orc shaman with a big femur that was like carved skull, weird stylized skulls were carved into it, that I think you can just still buy because it was such a strong, interesting looking model.
Yeah, he's great.
He's wonderful.
He still fits well just about anywhere you put him.
And that old orc goblin chariot that he did, still also great.
All those dagger-like teeth the goblins used to have.
Yeah.
And he made some of the big uns.
Yeah.
Interesting. The orc shaman, though, for the Warhammer one, he kind of does have a little bit of the flat face, if you will, the Paul Bonner sort of look, but enough was done to it to add character to it.
Yeah, it has a lot of personality to it. Like, he kind of looks like he's older and seen a lot of things. Maybe the magics he's used have kind of taken a toll.
Yeah, he has a lot of personality, but we were kind of saying that at least Paul Bonner's artwork, the orcs looked wonky, but they had a charm and a personality to them. But I think a lot of the miniature sculpts didn't have that charm to them.
They seemed very static, standing here in an awkward pose.
Their skin was super smooth, whereas I feel this shaman, it started to, like, he had that kind of square face, but his skin's kind of wrinkled a little bit and gives it, the skin looks more like it has, I don't know, like a tough leather sort of look to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that was just the start of Brian Nelson kind of experimenting with the orc design and form a little bit and making them tougher and more rugged looking, as well as starting to design weapons and stuff that were very like pretty large but also like simple in their design, but then still sort of brutal in the how they were cut and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's bad news, guys. He's not on their web store anymore.
You
Fuck,
can't get 'em.
seriously?
Oh,
The shaman's not there.
Damn.
bad news.
I don't know how long it's been, but I
Get
can't
on
find
eBay,
him.
everybody. Get on eBay.
I can't find him.
I mean, I guess there's that shaman that was released for the what are the armored orcs for
Ironjawz.
yeah, which he's good, but it's a different sort of model.
yes.
Well, so Brian Nelson, 3rd edition Warhammer 40,000, made the orc savage and cool.
and
Then the orc boy kit, well, I liked it, had some problems, mainly in that their anatomy was real wonky. Like there was such a curve in their lower back to have their ass sticking out that
they look kind of like gorillas because they have the weird curve in the back and they're like
Mhm.
gorillas
supporting
then
themselves.
have their big arms that they're walking around on their
Mhm.
knuckles. The orcs aren't doing that. They're holding weapons and stuff. So it
Yeah.
makes less sense. But that gorilla look isn't present in any of the knobs and stuff.
No.
So I guess once you get bigger and tougher,
Better.
your spine straightens out a little bit.
Yeah.
I almost wonder if it was something like to better facilitate the ball and socket thing to like fit the multi-part shit everyone
think
loves
it
so
was.
much.
probably.
And it because of the technology and abilities, they kind of felt forced into doing that, such that it resulted in literally every set of legs squatting and attaching in a kind of awkward way.
Mhm.
But at the time, we all thought it was what we wanted.
it
And
wasn't though.
it's still okay.
I
But
don't
mainly
know.
the fact that they have such cool faces
Mhm.
and their weapons are pretty cool too. Like I feel it made
I looked past a lot of that stuff.
yeah. And
I don't
still
want to get on too much of a tangent, but I think one of the things that's really cool about orcs was you could mix fantasy, you could mix like 40K, like across the board for a
mhm.
really long time. You could mix and match like all of their troop choices. You could do that sort of stuff, and that was great. And with the new like mono pose, like I know it's better, but
Mhm.
like you just lose. Like you gotta earn your modifications, your kit bashing. You really gotta
Mhm.
earn it. And I'm a
Well-
lazy son of a gun.
Well, but
so
now they
that
also
makes-
change scale so much.
Oh yeah,
Well, now the orcs, what an orc is in the different universes, are so different.
Yeah.
Like
it's
the
true.
3rd edition plastic orcs, they're all their own thing. And then like the new Blood Bowl models, those orcs they're kind of their own thing. And then Age of Sigmar, the Ironjawz Orruks, they're their own thing. And now this new line of orcs are their own thing. I feel
Well, and so I kind of feel the new line, which we'll probably talk about in a little bit, they're their own thing in the sense that they very specifically wanted to make something different.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel all the others, that really wasn't the case, at least after they moved into 3rd edition and stuck with the Brian Nelson design. It's just they haven't necessarily been very good at achieving it. Because like I feel when the Ironjawz were released, I was really impressed with them in the sense that and I mean, some of the models actually were designed by Brian Nelson and had more of a Brian Nelson look. But even though the main Ironjawz are like pretty huge models,
Mhm.
their heads are smaller than like a traditional like 40K orc boy.
Yeah. So they
And
they
it makes
really
it much harder to do that fun kit bash stuff that you were talking about, Brad. Also, even like getting the initial Blood Bowl plastic Blood Bowl team, it's just like, oh, this will be great. We can just swap out the heads to make them all look unique. And nope.
Yeah,
Nope.
not nearly as easy.
The overall design of the Ironjawz orks, like it changed. Like it felt like it was an evolution of what an orc was to be. Like, yeah, their heads got smaller. Their musculature made a little bit more sense, I think, but like they were bigger and stronger looking. But then that design wasn't transferred over as they were making new orcs for Warhammer 40,000. So
they really didn't make that many though at that point, though, right?
Like the Orruks, the Ironjawz.
After they did those buggies, they did that Speed Freaks box. I think that was after the Ironjawz.
Yeah, they did. They made a lot of vehicles finally after years of just having the okay GorkaMorka trucks and half tracks. But yeah, I don't know. So I feel every time a new orc release is coming out, I'm kind of assume it won't look good. And I feel that is born out of, history and seeing what they release. Like once they put the 40K knobs into like a plastic box set, I think maybe Seb Perbert designed them, and they're not terrible, but they don't have the same.
They're not,
I don't know, character and
GorkaMorka knobs.
I think I can speak for all of us. When they released the plastic Pain Boy, that
was a dark time for the orcs in 40K, and it kind of stayed there for a long time.
I mean,
any orc release around that time for probably a period of like 10 plus years was pretty bad.
So I think the flash skits are good.
They're pretty good.
If you don't use them for flash skits.
Yeah.
If you just use them for knobs, I think they're pretty solid. I feel like
I
that's
agree.
True.
Yeah.
I kind of feel that like a lot of the newer orcs after the 3rd edition for 40K usually weren't terrible, but I don't think they quite had the Brian Nelson charm.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Maybe the best.
They were the best. Yeah. They were the best.
I
think the main thing with a lot of the other releases, like the plastic orc knobs and stuff, the plastic mega knobs, they were pretty good, but their faces just didn't look as good as, say, the ones Brian Nelson sculpted. They didn't look very fierce or angry or anything.
I feel they also
looks like Tom York.
I feel
that says
they
something.
Also, it was at that time where they started to make new plastic orcs that they like really upped the ante in sort of the crazy buzzsaw shit that orc weapons would have. And like they even made plastic Storm Boys that I don't think were really any better than the metal plastic hybrids. I mean, they were better designed in some sense.
They're jumping.
Yeah, so like there were good aspects of it, but like their weapons were kind of ridiculous and like just too much. Like they took some of the designs Nelson had implemented, like having buzzsaws and whatnot, but like rather than one buzzsaw, they put 3 buzzsaws attached to another sword, and like it didn't have the brutal simplicity of what maybe it had been before. Which, I mean, because of stuff like that and those years of orcs that were just fine, that is admittedly why when some of the newer releases, it was like surprising to see when something was better. And I'm thinking specifically of like 2 models that were actually pretty recently revealed. One of which was the what's the Runtard's name? They're making a plastic version.
Zodgrod.
Yeah, they recently revealed him, and I think he looks pretty good. And they also revealed a new pain boss, or is it a pain boss?
I think he
Yes,
has
it's a
some
pain
other
boss.
title, but yeah.
That is going back to an old Paul Bonner sort of design with like a cyborg head, but made with more technical finesse.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think they've kind of orcs have had sort of a storied history from there. Is like, I don't know, people sort of struggled to pin down what made Brian Nelson's designs so good, often kind of getting maybe 75% of the way there.
I feel like somebody, I don't know who it was, like started doing, I think maybe you guys and I kind of like a pig nose.
Mm-hmm.
Like it started to do a more like round nose, and those I don't think are nearly as cool.
No, that is true, because that really hadn't been a thing.
Yeah, and that was like when the Beast Snagas originally came out. I feel like the Squig Rider they showed, I feel like he kind of had one of those noses, and it like made me like, I don't care about orcs anymore.
I immediately hate them.
and then the guys on foot though, I really do like them. I like them. They're growing on me. So
I'm kind of excited to see what the ones on foot, like more pictures of them, like closer ups of them to see what they look like. But I feel they look like they're a better effort than a lot of the previous ones.
Yeah.
Well, like on the community page, they have something talking about orc boys with like the rules and stuff. And I guess apparently the orc boys now have the toughness of 5. Crazy, huh? And well, then they show the beast Snaga boys. They have the strength and toughness of 5. So yeah, boys. So they're trying to show and tell you that these new orc boys are bigger and tougher and stronger than ever.
But it's hilarious because I'm so far out of touch. Like, is that even a good stat line? Like, I don't even know anymore.
It probably still doesn't matter that much.
Wait, so does that mean that there's a new type of boy?
Yeah, those like new ones are the Snaga boys.
So the Snaga boys are like the Primaris of the orc. Is that what this shit is?
Or something dumb like that.
Or like Scar Boys.
Yeah.
Could be,
orcs previously, they had the toughness of 4, which was good, but I think they only had the strength of 3, so they could never wound anything. Now they have the strength of 4 and the toughness of 5. So like that's significant.
That does seem better, because orcs, since GorkaMorka were kind of conveyed as strong,
they never
but
were
not in the rules.
But now the Beast Snaga boys, strength and toughness of 5, they're 2 attacks each.
Looking at the one model picture they showed, like large, it is interesting how it still kind of maintains a lot of those weird like squatting legs and whatnot.
Yeah, it does. But he doesn't have the weirdly curved back. He also looks much taller, like his torso. He has more of an abdomen than like a lot of the plastic dudes.
Long torso? This is getting close to the bald orcs.
Yeah, so maybe this could be a good transition into the new Age of Sigmar orc designs.
No, these Beast Snaga boys don't look too much like the new orcs from Age of Sigmar. No, they don't.
So do we want to talk about the guy riding the beast thing and
the guy riding the warg?
Yeah.
He's
the leader. Do they call it something?
It's a ferocious boghound. Yeah. That's a boghound.
What are these new orcs called, everybody?
I thought they're Kruleboyz.
Yes, the Kruleboyz orcs.
They're Kruleboyz.
This leader dude isn't like Kruleboy or something. It's like Oh, it's a kill boss. Okay.
Oh wait, Greg's got a helpful reference for us to examine the leader of them. Yeah, I mean this Greg's illustration kind of illustrates something. So this he does appear to have a very, very long torso.
And right arm.
Long, dangly arms.
Like, holy shit, the arm, particularly the arm holding the spear. That's like.
Just keep going.
It just keeps
for
going.
Miles.
He's Mr. Fantastic.
Well, his like legs, like it's just really weird how his like the leather.
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't look right.
To me, yeah, like when you initially see the model, it's like, wow, like someone was talented who did this. Lots of fine, sharp details. Even the weapons are kind of cool, not that overdone shit that has often defined orcs in recently. But like, my eye is immediately drawn towards his leather like skirt thing, and it's like he has a huge torso, incredibly long, spindly arms, and the smallest legs with like a skirt that's wrapped so tight it's almost like his thigh muscles aren't there or compressed, and just looks
It's
Under Armour
weird.
compression shorts.
It's weird.
But he is probably the worst one of them all, probably.
For
His
that
shield's
aspect.
awesome.
I think, like, all of his aspects are well sculpted, but like, boy, he looks so wonky. Like,
They needed to show some more angles of him, I think, because this angle is not a good angle. Like
for that, but I mean that I feel we talk about this often, that Games Workshop, when they talk about how to take photos, they always mention about finding the golden angle, and are very good at not finding it for their stock photos.
Yeah, I mean, if there is a golden angle, I don't think this is it.
It's like the other image that we just see of his shield and stuff.
That
if
looks
I only
good.
saw that, I would like it.
Yeah, I'd be all down for it.
But I guess one thing that just looking at this, maybe you can draw some conclusions from what these newer orcs look like. And to me, that would be that they don't have really muscular arms. They're much thinner and ganglier. Their heads are much smaller without the bigger, like lower jaws and things. But they still kind of have an orky physiognomy.
Well, but also their head placement's very different. It's more human-like. Like a lot of the older orcs, they had their shoulders were above their head, kind of. This is not really true.
The Ironjawz were like that too, right? They were hunched.
Yes.
Like their neck kind of pointing out.
But and also they have like pretty long torsos, but the only thing that does seem about the same, like their legs seem to be pretty comparable to the other types of orcs, meaning they look kind of weird.
I think they kind of look like some of the old troll designs, like the stone trolls with like long.
That's true.
They do.
Because like when I first saw there's the one like captain with his grot friend. When I first saw that, I thought maybe it was a troll.
Yeah.
And then I scrolled down further and looked at the banner bearer. I was like, whoa, this is a new sort of orc. Because like the guy on the beast, I thought maybe that was like a large deformed goblin when I saw that.
Yeah,
and then
it does look
down. And then I scrolled down and saw the dude with his goblin friend. I was like, fuck, is that a troll? And then I scrolled down again and saw the banner bearer. It's like, whoa.
Well, what did you think of the shaman guy?
Was he before the others?
Right after the.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay,
before we even get to that, I want to call out that the Beast Rider has one of the things Brad loves most about orc sculpts is when they have exposed feet and toes.
Don't like
you
it.
like that, Brad?
No, I don't like that.
Yeah,
No,
I know,
that's-
he doesn't. Well, I think your point, Greg, about how they kind of look like the GW trolls is a good point. Partially because
really, as I was scrolling through this stuff when it was first revealed, I was like, shit, this thing on the beast thing, like, what the fuck is that? Like, I thought it was like a special character goblin that grew extra big. And then the captain dude, I thought was maybe a troll. The shaman guy, like, Matt
hidden
Wally
enough.
maybe looks a little bit taller than a conventional orc. Like, he had the hood and stuff, and it's like, well, I guess that looks like an orc.
And I mean, the shamans
Well, I
have
feel that-
always been traditionally a little weirder, and like,
Yeah.
so.
Well, I kind of think always the like the troll models, always whenever I see them, they're like, wow, these look a little off, like a little weird looking. And I mean, I guess that was the point, but they still look like kind of awkward. And
But yeah,
these
then I got to the
have
banner
that.
bearer dude, and I was like, fuck, orcs have changed. He's like a tall and lanky, kind of thinner face, pointed bottom jaw instead of a wide with teeth. And it's like, wow.
Well, I guess one
And
thing
then
we can say is these orcs don't. Their currency is not their teeth.
Clearly not
Big,
their
large teeth. They don't give a shit about that.
Well, I feel some of them, like the banner bearer, to me, seeing the legs he have, they don't seem like super ass short, but a lot of the other ones do, and maybe it's just because they're standing on Stormcast and riding boar or whatever. But perhaps some of that makes it.
I thought that the banner bearer dude reminded me of like a Ninja Turtle without his back shell. Like, fuck, the orcs turned into Ninja Turtles.
It does look like a Ninja Turtle, you're right.
Mind you, I was never the biggest Ninja Turtle fan, so probably maybe if people are listening to this and like love the turtles, well, that's not what the turtles look
Well,
like.
if we scroll down and see, there are just some of the standard orcs with shields and spears, so they give you a better sense of the look of them in general.
Yeah, like taller, thinner, lankier. Again, the face, the bottom jaw is more pointed, not as wide. Teeth smaller.
The faces look more like the old hobgoblin models that GW used to have, and then kind of just got rid of.
I mean, they look tall and lanky, like they'd be part of the Ramones.
Yeah, they do.
But only Joey Ramone was tall. The other ones were like short, like 5'5", whereas like Joey was like 6'5".
Yeah, these look like Joey Ramone if he was.
But I guess even the just the regular ones with the spears, I feel they also have their like leather kilt pants thing that like really slim their upper thighs in a way that seems a little odd to me. Like I feel they seem like they would be a little bit more muscular.
These orcs aren't running fast.
No, I mean no orc ever is with their stumpy legs.
Well, they don't need it in the bogs, right? They just kind of.
Also, they just have their legs are short, but that's why their evolution gave them a really long torso, so they don't have to worry about keeping their head above water like a giraffe.
I find this the spearmen are interesting because they don't like their torsos are largely bare, and I find it interesting how they don't have like the traditional human like six-pack sort of design. I mean, they sort of do, but they have, I don't know, more like a snake-like reptilian sort of design on their chest, which I think is, and not all of them are as pronounced with this, but I find it's interesting looking. Like you don't see as much of like ribs or something as much as like the belly of a snake.
Yeah. That's interesting. I think when I first looked at them, the thing that I was smiled about is they're kind of going back to the fun-faced shields, which I think they were always a pretty big part of some of the older like Warhammer Fantasy orcs. They had their weird, creepy faced shields, and so
like the
these are
early mid
similar.
'90s, the Red period, where
Yeah.
John Blanche would always paint the evil sun sort of faces and whatnot. So it's cool to see that them lean into that a bit.
Yeah.
And I feel like the really thin, long arms reminds me of some of the really old Warhammer Fantasy orcs that had really wonky anatomy. But their anatomy looks like it makes more sense than some of that old stuff.
I mean, I think I kind of like the spearmen.
Yeah, they're good. My least favorite thing in this release are the big crossbow things.
Because I think the spearmen, they have sort of a serrated edge to the blades, but it's not super overdone.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the main thing in this release, the only thing that to me has that kind of weird overdone element to them are the big crossbow dudes that are overly spiky, overly large.
Man skewer bolt boys.
And then even just their helmets with the spikes and whatnot. Is bad. I feel they are substantially worse than the other things in the box to me.
And I don't even think I like the spearmen. I don't know, because I don't know. I don't have fond memories of old fantasy orcs. So.
I like those spearmen, but I understand why people would not.
I think I like them too, but I would kind of to say they're not the orcs I love. They're a different thing that I
orcs, or maybe they are.
Well, so I don't know. When I look through all this stuff, the ones that stuck out to me as the ones that I didn't like were the Hobgrot whatevers, and
they're
they have barrels for bodies.
Oh yeah, so to me,
they have dad bods.
Yeah, they look kind of. Everything looked kind of okay, except when it gets down to the butt area and their legs. It's just that doesn't work. They don't look like they work, and it almost looks like they didn't even try and make it work. They just piled it high with dumb metal plates.
I don't think they have
shit.
A groin.
Yeah,
I don't
it just
think
looks.
They have a groin.
It really doesn't look like they do.
Hobgrots don't have stuff like that.
Do you think the Hobgrots are as big as normal 40k boys?
Yes. Yes, I do.
I think that's kind of funny.
They almost have to be. But the heads look like an updated version of the old wonky, dumb hobgoblins from back in the day. And I think it's fun that they're bringing them back. But you have the interesting hobgoblin head, and then you have a barrel of body, and then no groin, but then two legs
they don't look like they even have hips.
Apart. Yeah, it's just
they don't have
hips. Two short legs, no nether region, and then there's a body.
And the legs are attached really far apart too.
Yeah, they're rough. They're terrible.
Well, but to me, it's something. It's sort of
on the one sword are awful.
Well, I feel it's sort of sad because some elements of them aren't I don't really like them, but they're not terribly sculpted or anything. But the fact that their legs attached so poorly and awkwardly, I feel it spoils something that maybe had potential to be.
Well, yeah, bringing them back, that's fun, but they're not
like this.
Yeah.
Well, I was trying to see, they have some larger pictures of, the arm, all the stuff together, but none of them, they let you make it very big. So they're certainly smaller than the orc boys, the new spearmen and stuff. These.
Well, I think Brad was asking like the 40k
Yeah.
classic.
Oh, I
orc
realize that.
boys,
Yeah, they're
like,
probably about the
almost.
same size.
Probably a little bigger.
Yeah, probably a little bigger. That's probably true.
Actually, I kind of realize maybe those hob brats or whatever, I think with their widespread legs and stuff, I think they're actually just trying to they're trying out to be night judicators with griffhounds. They just revealed a new model, the same thing with a big bow, and one of his legs is up on a rock and his stance is so wide it's like he's doing a split. Like, they're
That's
just
bad.
they're trying to be Stormcast.
Whoa.
They're trying-
I don't think I saw that.
They're trying to
model.
fit in.
Yeah, they are. They realize like they're not cut out for war, but maybe they could be dancers.
Yeah, they're bad.
But I guess maybe this brings up an interesting question. Do we think they're going to release a bunch of additional orcs kind of in this style? Presumably they will release a few kits
They will.
that are more
Then they will
multi-part.
never revisit them again.
I feel
Yes.
like if we take the Ironjawz as like the example, is you will get an Underworlds team at some point, like maybe,
Yeah.
and like
then
that'll
never
be it.
again.
Yeah, there'll be one spearman sort of box. There'll probably be the Hobgrot box. And
They have
the
those two
bold
big
skewer
models.
boys.
They have those two big models at the bottom too. I don't know if you guys
Yeah,
saw them
the
at the very end.
Breakaboss on the Meyer Brute Trogoth.
Yeah,
I don't like the Trogoth's head.
I don't either.
It doesn't have a neck, and
this is another thing where they're like, I mean, all the Trogoth models are all kind of weird in their own way.
Yeah.
And it's again something that's like, it's not that it's poorly sculpted. It's just I feel the design misses for me.
Well, like the teeth coming out of the Trogoth's mouth, they don't even look like they work. Like, I don't like they didn't put those teeth in there thinking about where they'd attach in the jaw. They just had them sticking out of an opening.
yeah.
But
Well, I guess they also show like a bigger, like almost what do you call it, ballistica, or is that what you call those? Like the big.
this is a
bolt thrower.
skewer kill bow.
Yeah, that's
I'm
right.
not excited about that, but I was never excited about those war machines. It probably looks a little bit better than what maybe
It
they
does.
normally would.
It actually looks okay.
Well, and I guess this is probably another one of those things that if you didn't, you could probably paint it in a darker palette that didn't make every little aspect, every blade and stuff be shiny and chrome. That might unify some of the designs a little bit and ultimately look better. But
Well, so maybe we've like rambled on about these new things long enough. Like, I feel like we got our point across. Maybe the big question for all of us now, like, is anybody like excited about getting these orcs and doing something with these orcs, starting up the orcs again? Probably not.
I mean, I'm not excited about playing Age of Sigmar, so no.
Nope. Don't want these guys. No.
yeah, I'm
thanks.
not. Well, what do you think? Could this be something like Adam that you would try to get like one or something and convert it to be like a weird freebooter, like Inc 28 sort of model, in the sense that it's just like a weird looking orc that.
Yeah, so like I've talked in the past about kind of wanting to slowly convert more orcs to make like a small weird kill team or something. I could see getting one of these orcs. I don't really know which. And
It would be interesting. We kind of need to see how they scale in relationship to other orcs, because if some of them were substantially bigger than others, like that I think for making like a cool little narrative kill team band or whatnot, it's fun to have very diverging scales and sizes just to add character. But yeah, I don't feel this is something I would rush out for.
They're interesting. I like a lot of aspects of them, and I think I could easily see getting one to use for a conversion to make a weird looking space orc from the future.
I guess then it then does also call into question like how will this or will it affect the newer 40K releases and those new squig rider things, and
I think it's pretty
whatnot.
confident since we saw the squig riders and all that other shit. This will have no effect on Warhammer 40,000.
Yeah,
At
I
least
agree.
not anytime soon. But yeah, I think you're probably right.
Age of Sigmar, they're in much more of a position where they can just do whatever they want, change stuff, add new stuff, and like ultimately people don't care that much. Where in Warhammer 40,000, I think they're going to be a lot more careful about doing things like this.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think you're right.
In general, I would say I was very pleasantly surprised with this. Like, I know last week we talked a little bit about, like, oh, what's going to be the other force? It's neat to see they were orcs, and they're just very different. I don't know if I necessarily like them all that much, but they're
It's a shame that, like, what if Brian Nelson could have really taken the reins here and made like sort of the Ironjawz just without the armor and made a range of orcs like that with kind of even similar stylings in the sense that they aren't that armored.
I would have loved that.
Would have been
Well, who do
awesome.
you think made all these models?
Who knows? Yeah, because
I feel like the sculpting looks better than.
I mean, they're very well sculpted, except for the
archer things.
The Hobgrot stickers. I mean,
the little goblin with the champion, I like a lot.
I think the champion aspects of him are cool, but he also has the weird look that he's sort of squatting. One leg is stupidly up on a Stormcast, such that it looks like maybe he's riding a boar hog too.
Yeah.
And you kind of look at there and like see this long torso, which long torsos aren't a thing GW tends to work with. They try to truncate them to the point of ridiculousness. But when they finally add a longer torso, they make sure to compensate it by really shortening the legs, which is curious. But
I almost across the board, I think I like them a lot less than you guys do. But yeah. I think the one I like best is the shaman. I think,
mm-hmm.
I think he's pretty okay. He's pretty good.
He, I feel, takes the least risks, and even though he does, I think, have a lot of the same characteristics in terms of like body type and all that other stuff, it's just most of it's hidden, and he has a weird gnarled face and stuff, which is kind of befitting of what a lot of the shamans would be like.
Nah, I agree. Well, maybe that could be, we could kind of move into the conclusion here that we're kind of in two minds about these, but
pretty well sculpted. I won't buy them.
Yeah, I mean, they're cool. I don't think they don't reach the level of like the new plastic Zodgrod model that they revealed a little while ago. Like, he also has more of a thinner, spindly, kind of weathered look to him, and like that, I really like that.
Like that's because he's just hunched and old. Where
Correct,
these, like, they're tall and spindly because they're a new breed of orc, that were grown
no one asked
in
for.
The bogs. They were in the bogs.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess it'll ultimately be interesting to see what becomes of this, what other units are released, and if this is sort of harkening in more orc releases, the fact that there are some of those 40k releases that are surprisingly not terrible, and these does suggest that they're perhaps putting orcs in the spotlight a little bit, sort of like how the Necrons were actually updated in a substantial way. It would be great to see something like that.
Yeah, they're going to be in the spotlight for a short time.
The future's
and then
green.
they'll have nothing for 15 years.
That's the ticket, Greg.
That's
Yeah.
that. I
Wait
agree.
until
I feel
the
that's what it
17-year
will be.
cicadas return.
They'll
The
herald
17-year
a new.
cicadas are here right now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when they return in 17 years, the
We'll-
orcs will have been updated again.
We'll have to come back and do another episode in 17 years. About
Yeah.
the
Will you like
history of
this
orcs.
podcast in 17 years?
Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
That was a reference to Armchair Martian / Bad Astronaut song.
It's true. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm excited that there are releases like this.
Yeah, I still love the orcs. We all still love the orcs. You should still love the orcs. That doesn't mean you need to buy these orcs. But you should buy some orcs. Just not Mantic
Yeah,
orcs.
go buy
Not
some orcs.
Not Mantic orcs, probably.
Buy the old Brian Nelson shaman before he's gone.
Yeah, go on eBay, get all the old Brian Nelson orcs. Get them
That's
all.
what you should do. Yeah.
They were
They
there
don't get
before
better.
Finecast, so
They don't get better. They probably will not get better ever.
yeah.
Well, so thanks everybody for joining in on this podcast. Felt like maybe harkening back to what the podcast used to be. Talking about, rambling about things, maybe making fun of things a little bit.
We didn't complain that much. I don't
Not as
think.
much as we could.
You guys are surprisingly optimistic about these.
Well, I love the orcs.
Yeah.
Well, I guess kind of with that, listeners, let us know if this is something you enjoyed and something you'd like to hear us do more of. It would be fun to, Brad, have you back on again for other sort of retrospective episodes like this, kind of calling on our, time in the hobby and how different perhaps armies have changed and what we like and don't about them. But
Yeah, it's always fun to come on and chat with you guys.
yeah, so I guess with that, thanks everybody for listening, and we will talk to you again soon.
It was a
It's
fun
done.
Well, there's
podcast.
the podcast. Amazing. Joe, we didn't talk about the new Necromunda PC game. Like, has that been released yet, or is there
I
a
think it
demo? or
has.
something?
It recently
If
was
it
released.
hadn't, it's like just been released. I saw one review that it was bad.
What?
I mean, how could it
be bad?
how could it be good? I mean, maybe there's something there for like diehard Necromunda fans, but
Yeah, obviously the expected response was, how could it be good?
yeah.
Like, if it were good, like that would be surprising.
But boy, that's one thing. I don't play video games anymore.
I don't.
I have started. I play them. So I actually just played and beat The Last of Us.
What the fuck, Aaron?
Wow.
It's good.
Fuck, are
It's
you
really
kidding
good.
me?
It was good. It was like better than
Are you
most
gonna
games.
Are you gonna tell me that tomorrow that you beat God of War 4 or some bullshit?
Oh, it's downloading
5.
now. I'm gonna play it right now. Nah,
You
I'm
motherfucker.
joking. I'm not doing that. I might play it at some point because Last of Us made that cool. Last of Us showed people that people want to play as old dad figure and small child. So after Last of Us showed that that's like kind of Oscar baiting game award show stuff, they're like, God of War was like, we can get in on that.
Mhm.
And then
Well,
they did.
Well, have you heard anything about The Last of Us 2?
I I heard it was people have had very polarized in what they think about it.
People have got opinions on that.
Yeah, I don't. I somehow have avoided any spoilers about it, so I'm going to try to know nothing about it going into it.
Yeah.
But the first Last of Us was like really good. Very primarily just because the character development was good. It was paced very well. And
I want you to play the second one just so I can get your reaction.
okay.
Because I had this I don't know if you guys remember Mike Boyce. I don't, you would have only maybe seen him at the wedding. But like he was like on this like Twitter rants about like The Last of Us 2. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then he like spent like, because there was like some Zoom call I was on with him. And I was like, dude, I see you tweet about this shit all the time, and I don't know anything about it. So he gave me like this 30-minute spiel, and he was not particularly happy about it. And I wouldn't really like, there's definitely maybe some like kind of like misogyny sort of stuff that goes with it. And I don't really peg him as like one of those types. He was just pretty pissed about like what they did.
Because I know it's polarizing.
Yeah, so.
And I honestly don't know why. I think I had heard a little bit about it being like almost like needlessly dark.
Yeah, I'd be interested the way that you talked about the first one. I'd be interested for you to play the second one, see what you think.
Yeah, so I want, but the first
I don't want to scare you too much, but
yeah, the first one is fantastic. Honestly, probably one of the best games I've played in terms of storytelling. Like Disco Elysium is fantastic and is better in sort of character development stuff. But I guess it's obvious why HBO is making it into like a TV series or whatever, because like it's basically just a TV series, kind of.
Well, I mean, you talking about great storytelling, you obviously haven't played the new Pokemon Snap.
Oh, I haven't yet. It's downloaded, but I haven't gotten in on it yet.
So wait, do you have a Switch? Isn't that for the Switch?
That's
for the Switch.
And you have a Switch?
Yeah, I've had it for years.
Wait, our boy Lifeboat, you played Last of Us 2?
He did.
Good and challenging, exhausting, but like, okay.
I did play and beat Death Stranding. That's something. That's something of a game. But no, The Last of Us is great, and they didn't like shy away from developing the characters how they wanted to.
Coreopsis fungus and ants. Like, let's do that.
Yeah,
because everybody thinks that's cool.
That's right. But the two characters in it are great.
I love Death Stranding too, just not playing it.
I really enjoyed playing it, but just kind of experiencing the weirdness of it.
I enjoyed buying it and not playing it.
Me too, because that's how I enjoy video games now, buying and not playing.
I admit, so I beat the game, and it allows you to go back in the same kind of save and keep doing the missions and like delivering stuff. And I said no. No. I delivered one last pizza, and then no.
That's good.
Well, so maybe it's a delivering simulator that's probably about as fun as it would be to actually deliver things to people.
It's more fun than that because
Death Stranding, that's what really got me into being a dasher for DoorDash.
Yeah. All right, well, guys, I think I need to bounce.
Yeah. All right, Brad. Yeah. It was great having you here.
Yeah.
hopefully you'll be on soon to talk more about orcs or some other thing.
Yeah, we'll see. Life is kind of crazy right now, but we'll
With
see.
the baby, with the bab, number 2.
I will probably be getting up in about 3 hours. So
okay, well, good luck with that, Brad.
Yeah,
Thanks
thanks.
for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk with
Talk
us,
about
man.
one of the other things that really matters in life.
That's
other
right.
than your children. Orcs.
Yeah, orcs, and then maybe yeah. Who knows? But yeah. All right, you guys take care.
Yeah,
See you, Brad.
Yep.
Okay, so this is a hot take, but so this orc shaman model, the more I look at him, he's holding his the one hand up, pouring. Doesn't that whole arm and hand and pouring, that is a Mignola, straight out of a Mignola like artwork or something from like Hellboy or something. Like that is exactly what his hands and arms and all that shit, that is what that looks like.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Yes, I don't know. I'm excited about him. Like I could see getting one of them and converting them into a weird looking 40k orc. So maybe when they're released, we should like try and find one we think would be suitable, and that could be a conversion project.
Yeah.
Is there anything else on the community page that's worth talking about? Probably not.
I don't think so.
Yeah, no. I didn't even... Apparently for the new game, they had a video. Did anyone watch it?
Of course not.
Yeah. Cool.
Why would any of us do that?
That's fair. I guess we could talk a little bit about like our hobby happenings thing, which normally happens at the start of the podcast. We could talk a little bit about it now. I guess the big thing on my end, I've continued to work on the female Space Marine built from one of the Rogue Trader plastics. And since last week, I've done a lot more on the model. And while I wouldn't really say I'm close to being finished with it, but it's generally all assembled in that, like, all the legs are in place and whatnot. I changed the feet, all of that stuff. And so now I think I have to kind of finalize some of the detailing on the model, all of the different gear and stuff that'll be on our side. I have some more sculpting work that I need to do on the legs. One thing that is funny, you can certainly tell that these are older sculpts in that there is very little symmetry between the different components, like the bell bottom armor of the lower legs. They are not even close to the same size between the two. Like, holy shit, are they different? And so, like, I think I'll probably do a little sculpting work there to try and make them a little more similar. But I think in general, it looks fine. Like, I don't think you're necessarily gonna look at it and like, oh my god, that's so different or so bad or whatnot. So, but we'll see. And then I guess none of the arms attach that well, so I might have to do some more work until I'm satisfied with how they actually attach. And again, talking about the lack of symmetry between different components, like another thing, like the two shoulder pads are wildly different. Which is kind of fun. I guess another thing that I was thinking of doing, I have half a mind to like cut down the size of the bolter, in that, like, maybe trim off the upper top half, like all of the shit above the barrel. Like, it would no longer look like your classic Rogue Trader bolter, so that's kind of, I don't know.
I would be inclined to just leave it.
Yeah. Just looks so bad. But I guess I probably will just leave it because it's kind of charming in its own dumb looking way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what I've been working on, and I feel I'll continue to work on that for like the next week or so. At which point I will hopefully then paint the model. I think I'll probably paint her in be an Iron Snake like the other marine that I've painted, just so there's sort of some consistency between the stuff that I'm painting, but it'll also probably be relatively quick too.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I've been working on.
Yeah, I haven't done anything except for play The Last of Us. I did just today in the mail get those models that Anna from Gardens of Akate created for this like Smash Bash thing.
Oh,
so
that's cool.
I might try to assemble like the one smaller knight and just put him on a base and maybe paint him like something. Just
yeah, would be fun.
And I guess also I just got an extension tube for my camera. So I guess I'll try to experiment with it. It's just something that you can attach any of your lenses to the camera, and it makes them a little bit more like a macro lens, such that you can get the lens closer to what you're taking photos of. And it's a sort of a more magnified look. So oftentimes if people are taking photographs of like insects or frogs and things, they'll use a good macro lens such that the picture of whatever you're taking is like a 1-to-1 like magnification on the sensor of the camera, and it makes it sort of look larger than life and whatnot. And so this is a way that you can kind of take any lens and get it closer to that. It depends on the sort of physics of the individual lenses you're using as to how much of a magnification there is, but it's substantially cheaper than spending $1,000 on like a Fujifilm X mount macro lens. It's like $90 or something, and I can just use some of my others. So I'm kind of excited about the prospect of just sort of experimenting, taking some additional photos of models and see what I can do with it.
Yeah, that's cool. Actually, Lifeboat's asking, did any of us buy the Fist of North Star hardcover that came out this week? I wasn't actually familiar with that.
I didn't know that happened.
I will have to look into that because that sounds sort of cool. Like, I haven't really read any of that, but it's sort of something I would like to. You're already dead. Yeah, I'll have to look into that. What about you, Greg? Anything?
I'd suggest that it's coming out June 15th.
Oh. Okay, so pretty soon.
Or Amazon suggests that. Viz Media's releasing it.
It's a re-release that's deluxe hardcover. It's either this week or next.
I hope they put it on Comixology. That's what I hope. Because I'd like to read it. I have been reading. Yeah, we talked about The creator of Berserk passing away last week. I mean, we wrote something, or Eric wrote something for our blog about
Yeah.
his influence on our like miniature gaming work and whatnot. Um, Real shame.
Yeah. It is. It is. No, I've been in the process of rereading the stuff. I'm maybe like, I don't know, 8 or 9 volumes into it.
All right, it looks like the Fist of the North Star thing is on Comixology for pre-ordering it.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, that's exciting. Yeah, I'll buy that. You bet I'll buy that.
Yeah, I feel I should read some of that. That for that more of that cool anti-hero vibe.
Yeah. I'll watch some of the old animated show.
Okay. I've not even done that.
No, I don't think I have either.
Recently I've read a little bit of a graphic novel called Mega Hex, which is about a witch and her cat and them getting high on marijuana and doing dumb and terrible things. And one of the funnier strips in this collection was about Mog the cat having performing a noise show at a bar. So, and he hooks up some contact mics to himself and then puts them through a distortion pedal and a delay pedal, and then he gets the witch Meg to like pet him and stuff, and he's purring and it's all distorted. And then at the end, there's some people watching him, and like one of them, somebody from The Wire, saying that it's from The Wire, saying it's amazing, and like there's a Pitchfork writer there. It's all pretty.
That's funny. I like that.
But this, I guess, the series has been going on for a number of years now. And boy, are the characters terrible people. I mean, I think it probably does a good job of representing the stupid bullshit that people might get into in their younger years, maybe when they're in college, like kind of dicking around with their friends, getting high, and getting into dumb shenanigans that maybe they regret afterwards. That's kind of the vibe
Mm.
of what this is.
Yeah, like I read maybe like the first 40 pages of it, and that's very much what I got.
Yeah, so it's Meg the witch, Mog the cat, and the other main character is an owl, a humanoid owl that lives with them, and named Owl. And holy fuck, are they cruel to Owl? So cruel to Owl.
Well, so I guess yeah, Fantagraphics published a collection of a lot of it. Oh, it looks like it's temporarily out of stock on their website.
Yes, Simon Hanselman, like he's been drawing these Megan Mog comics for like, I don't know, a long time, more than 10 years. And I think he started like releasing them in little zines and stuff and selling them. And Fantagraphics published the first collection of some of the stuff. I think it was in 2014 or something, and that's what Mega Hex is. But there are a few more books that Fantagraphics has since published by Simon following Meg, Mog, and Al. And there's another side character, Werewolf Jones.
one
But
more
it's all pretty
year.
funny.
That's out of stock.
Yeah.
It's all out of stock.
Yeah.
Except Crisis. Oh wait, Crisis Zone's not
That's
out of stock because it's not been released yet.
From my understanding, Megahex was released first, but most of the other books take place like before the Megahex book or in and around then, and Bad Gateway is finally picking things up after the Megahex book. But I still feel a lot of it's just very much episodic stuff where like it's maybe 2 pages of some stupid bullshit that the characters got up to that like doesn't necessarily move the story along in any real sense.
Okay.
But yeah, the thing with the noise show that made me smile. It's like, yeah, that's what you could do. You could do that.
You could do that. But it's also kind of funny. Like, Meg, my solo noise show is tonight. Will you drive me? And then the next panel, she's flying him on a broom.
Yeah.
It's great. Wow,
I
I'll have to
mean,
read
it's
more of
pretty good. A pretty good representation of the guitar pedals too.
it.
Like they obviously,
Yeah.
Simon obviously has at least some experience with that stuff. Otherwise, like the contact microphones and like other, like you wouldn't know what that was unless you had some familiarity with.
It's also
noise.
funny. There's like no one there.
Obviously.
Yeah.
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 And they're watching The Simpsons on television before leaving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's great.
Well, I don't know. Maybe we should call this. Like, I could go to bed.
Yeah.
I hear ya. Well, yeah, I guess thanks everybody for joining us tonight. It was fun. We will talk to you again soon, but stay safe, stay healthy, keep on
Mhm.
enjoying the hobby.
Actually, Lifeboat, thanks for queuing us off onto the re-release of Fist of North Star.
Yeah, we'll have
That's
to look
Yeah.
at that.
I'm excited about.
Yeah. All right, yeah. Until next time, everybody. Over and
See
out.
ya.